Hi, everybody. I'm Bob Bowman, Editor-in-Chief of Supply Chain Brain, and I want to welcome you to this presentation on how to accelerate AI-driven decision intelligence with Smart Data Fabric, presented by InterSystems. One quick note, there will be an audience question and answer session at the end of this presentation. Audience members are encouraged to submit their questions at any time during the presentation by clicking on that Q&A icon at the bottom of your screen. Now, increased operating costs, labor shortages, and geopolitical tensions are keenly being felt by supply chain organizations today. They highlight the importance of fast, informed decision-making. So today, we're going to learn how a smart data fabric can be used to unify data across disparate sources and accelerate AI-driven decision intelligence. We'll delve into real-world use cases showing how this approach can be used to leverage real-time predictive and prescriptive analytics, as well as generative AI to optimize your supply chain operations. With that, I want to introduce our speakers for today. Mark Holmes is Senior Advisor for Global Supply Chain with InterSystems. Mark has more than 25 years of experience in consulting, manufacturing, and software development from such organizations as Dow Chemical, GS1, Aspen Technology, and UST. Mark has delivered value to companies such as Tyson Foods, Ferrero Rocher, TJX Companies, Hard Rock Cafe, and Albertsons. And Ming Shou is Head of Supply Chain Strategy with InterSystems. Ming is responsible for the overall supply chain product roadmap, strategies, and technology solutions. Ming brings over 2 decades of industry experience, technical expertise, and problem-solving skills to InterSystems, helping clients to tackle complex business and supply chain challenges. With that, I want to turn the presentation over to Mark Holmes. Mark, take it away.
Great, thank you, Bob. So a little bit about InterSystems. InterSystems, we're a data management software company. We have been in operations for 46 years. We have just over $1 billion in revenue. We are privately held, and we're headquartered in Boston. We have thousands of customers across 80 countries, and we're essentially in every vertical and every sector. Our specialty is providing mission-critical solutions, and we do that by unifying disparate, unstructured data coming from complex, different sources inside and outside the organization, so virtually across the entire value stream within supply chain. We then couple that with our decision intelligence technology to then optimize business outcomes. So just to give you a little bit as we talk about the presentation here between myself and Ming, is that it's very important to know that, look, Gartner says by 2024, data fabric deployments will quadruple efficiency in data use while cutting human-driven data management tasks in half. And that's really, it's foundational in how we're going to be managing business outcomes using, as you will hear more, around a smart data fabric that we use in InterSystems. And I think it's important to know that it's not just a data fabric, something that we're a pioneer in the space with our customers, and we've been doing it for a very long time around the world, is that it needs to be a quality data fabric. It needs to be the foundation of being able to leverage the power of data and the power of AI. Ming, please.
Thank you. So as Mark and I travel around the world talking to our customers, one question frequently come up is, hey, what is data fabric? Right? How is that compared to existing data technologies like enterprise data warehouse or data lake? Is this another version of the data lake? So it's probably worthwhile to clarify some of the basic concept here. So one thing I will start with is data fabric is not just another version of data lake, or is not a competitive technology to data warehouse. It actually is a new technology, or actually is an architectural pattern which designed to bring all the existing technologies together to really form a special unified data view for business usages. So that way people can take advantage of all your existing systems investment. If you already have a data warehouse, data lake, you have some existing logistics systems, warehouse management systems in place, data fabric is not intended to replace them. Rather, data fabric is intended to really bring these systems together to really help to solve more challenging business problems by leveraging the existing systems with and bridging certain gaps among across these different solutions. So, for example, through data fabric, we can help to really bring the insight from the data and then derive additional aspect from the data with different analytics and other result, and drive towards the business outcomes. It's more towards how do you derive and deliver business values out of your data, out of your existing systems. So that's what data fabric is really all about, as a connective tissue to provide unified data view and to drive and deliver business values. And I'll come to the next slide to talk about what is a smart data fabric. So InterSystems provide a smart data fabric solution to our customers in all different industries. So first, I will say a smart data fabric is just one implementation of a data fabric with all the characteristics I mentioned before in the previous slides. And it aims to bring data from different data sources, as you're seeing on the screen here to the left side, right? From ERP systems, from your existing data warehouses, or any streaming data from your machineries or IoT devices, and trying to leverage them through some magic secret in the middle, and then deliver what we are showing on the right-hand side, which is really the business outcome, whether it's optimized fulfillment plan with better forecasting solutions or visibilities through a control tower, all of those things. And so that's what the Smart Data Fabric is trying to achieve. Now, how is it doing things compared to traditional way of the business? I will highlight a few special characteristics of a Smart Data Fabric. And first of all, with what you're seeing in the middle layer here, it brings different technologies together with data technology from basic integrations to data catalog management to different security aspect to analytics, and you name it, a lot of those things. First, we bring these things together. And the way we're doing it differently compared to many other data services, such as those in AWS, web services, right? We bring these services to the data versus the other way around. I mean, historically, people used to bring the data, right, from your original data sources, say, into a BI tool. You're going to do an ETL. You're going to transform it from one schema to another. So then your BI system can actually understand and use that data effectively. So that's the old way of doing things. With Smart Data Fabric, we bring this technology to data. And you are dealing with a single set of unified data view, but you can view the same set of data through different lenses. We provide different semantic views of this data set. So that data can be readily available in different from semantic perspective, available for data scientists, for ML, or for LLM, all through one single data set. And the other aspect is really about composability. And these services are not independent standalone services. They all work together. They feed from the same source of data. And you can compose solutions by combining them to achieve your business outcome. I want to emphasize one more thing before I leave this slide. It's really about the smart part. The smart is really about leveraging AI technology throughout the data fabric. And by AI, I mean not just the ChatGPT. It means all the AI, different technology from natural language processing, from your traditional machine learning capabilities to large language models and so on. And by using this throughout your data fabric, we can bring more content into your business-driven logic, right, through natural language processing. We can bring more insight to your business process through machine learning. And of course, we can potentially bring more power of the data fabric into the hands of business users through generative AI to really maximize the value and, more importantly, increase the actual time to value to meet the business needs. And next slide. So I already touched upon a little bit of data fabric and generative AI. I will come to the more detailed technical aspect of different ways we can leverage generative AI in data fabric. But I want to emphasize one thing through this one is this. Generative AI can potentially be a game changer in our business solution in software engineering. The reason is this. Um, as we are seeing more and more questions, problems, people are talking to us about looking for solutions. And if we break down all these problems, you will see, the current technology, with or without data fabric, should be able to solve those problems. But we have so many of those kind of problems not being solved for the business people. Why is that? I think the real challenge is this. Computers can only solve problems computer can understand. And today, at least for the last few decades, computer can only understand problems in what form? In like a computer language, Python, Java, right? Or in XML, or in some YAML file, JSON file. It doesn't really understand the business terms like on time, in full, or available to promise, and all of those things that supply chain people typically talk about, or other business jargons in other business areas, right? And generative AI can really bridge the gap. So what it can do is it can provide another interface between business users and our technology, the computer software. And it can make computer understand business problems not through those technical programming language, but potentially through natural language. And that way you can see the potential power of this solution is business people can work directly or directly interact with computer more effectively to help computer understand their problems, understand their challenges. And then the computer, once understand those problems, it can, leverage data fabric, smart data fabric, or any other solutions to really provide the solutions the business user is looking for. So to me, that is a big game changer with the power of Gen AI coming to us. And it's not going to be 5 year, 10 year down the road. We are already seeing the impact today. Now I'm going to get into a little bit more details through the next slides about specifically how Gen AI can really help in the current data fabric area. The first thing will be really in the data integration, data management aspect. So generative AI can help us to do things faster, more efficient, and it can help us to take the data aspect under control. I'll give you a few examples. Leveraging Gen AI, it can help us to do better mapping from understanding your data, original source data to your target data model. It can help you to do more things in areas such as like when you have the validation area, or you have to reconcile data, and Gen AI can help to make those things more efficient and more productive. So that's just one of the areas that Gen AI can help. And it can also help to really to make things more accessible from LLM perspective. By LLM, I'm referring to a large language model, which is a key technology supporting a lot of the generative AI solutions. And Gen AI, just like most other AI technology, right, it depends on the accurate data being made available to these models. If you don't have accurate data, you have bias in the data, you have contaminated data, the outcome from these Gen AI solutions is not going to be trustworthy. So it's very important you provide the right information, the accurate information to your LLM model, so that way you can get the outcome you are expecting. And with data, we all know the big challenge is data set is huge, all over the place, structured, unstructured, and you name it. And really, how can we make all that huge amount of data available and easily consumable by large language model? So a data fabric technology can really provide that support, feeding the right information to make it more scalable, through technologies like a vector database and many other things to achieve your business outcome. And of course, a lot of times you need real-time data, right? That's why one of the challenges with ChatGPT today is if you ask a question, say, when will Boston celebrate Celtics, championship, right? You won't know because the data used to train the ChatGPT model has a cutoff date was at least 6 months ago, right? It doesn't have the latest information to really in supply chain area to help solving business problems. Many cases, you need real-time data. And Data Fabric can really help out in that scenario to make these things work more efficiently and get the real-time information to the right service, to the right solution at the right time to deliver the business outcome needed. And with that, I'm going to switch back to Mark.
Thank you, Ming. I'm going to go through a case study and spend a little bit of time on the challenge, the benefits, and then on the next slide, I'm going to go into what portions of our Smart Data Fabric architecture did we use to put this together. And the reason why I use this FMCG company is, and the reason why I'm stating this as a POV for 6 weeks is because the benefits that were achieved in just 6 weeks were foundational for the company. And you will see in a minute why I'm stating that. So challenges. So they lacked systems for within a supply constrained environment. We're finding with all of our clients around the world, and in this one in particular, is that so many of the systems and applications that are being used do very well in what we would consider an unconstrained environment. So there's always plenty of inventory, plenty of the right inventory at the right location. There's always enough labor. The forecast, supply and demand forecast are always accurate. There's plenty of transportation. So when the product's finally done, it can be moved to meet the on time in full. And in reality, very rarely does that happen. So we need to move in a constrained environment. Supply planners were manually pulling and processing the data extracts to create a production plan because this use case was all around optimized production planning and fulfillment in a repackaging operation. And there was no unified view of component inventory. So for the most part, you can consider running blind and being able to create that optimized plan. So by using the technology that we have, not only just the data fabric, but the smart data fabric that Ming was talking about. So all of the embedded algorithms and the intelligence and the AI and the Gen AI, all of that is working together to then come up with benefits of automating and optimizing component allocation, improve fill rate by 10 points, which is quite significant, not 10%, 10 points. The improvement that you can imagine is quite significant. Improved replenishment frequency, automated production plans to line of business, harmonize and normalize data continuously, not just one time every week, every 2 weeks, every month, continuously harmonizing and normalizing that data, the SKUs. Think about how many companies have, I mean, Ming and I were just talking to one yesterday, they had 30 different ERP systems. And they had 20 different ways of representing the same SKU. Think about the mess that creates, but we take that away. We harmonize and we normalize that. We optimize TMS routing, considering CO2 impact. So not only did we want to make sure that we had the right optimal repackaging operations down to that production plan, but we also want to consider once it was produced and ready at a certain hour, is that we knew that the capacity to be able to then maybe choose either where it was going to be repackaged or where it could be then sent to optimize the final last mile, considering the TMS and CO2 impact. And then we obviously move from a constrained to an unconstrained to a constrained model. And the point in saying all of this is that think about all of this happening within 6 weeks with one product, because our data platform is one product, as Ming talked about. All of those capabilities is, as I move to this slide, is that as we're using our Smart Data Fabric architecture within our product, So the data sources, as you see on the left-hand side, certain ones were turned on. We then brought it into the Smart Data Fabric of where we use certain pieces of the Smart Data Fabric, heavy use, as you can see on the bottom section of the embedded Python, the real-time analytics, the Gen AI, to then ultimately optimize what I talked about, optimize forecasting, prescriptive insights, to optimize fulfillment. And I think it's key because just think about what that was done in such a short period of time. Try doing that with 4, 5, 6 different products, which typically is what it takes to do what I just said, and you're doing this with just one product. So it makes it a lot easier to be able to achieve those business outcomes in a very short period of time, extremely accurately, because of the ability of using all of this within one product.
Well, thank you very much, gentlemen, for that great opening presentation. Gives us a good idea of what Smart Data Fabric is and a little bit about how InterSystems fits in. This is the panel discussion portion of our presentation in which I get to ask Ming and Mark some key questions. And then at that point, when that's over, we will move into audience Q&A. And just a reminder, the audience should continue to submit your questions as we're doing this part, and we'll address as many of those at the end as we possibly have room for. But let me start out with this question. I'm going to direct it first to Mark. Tell us more, Mark, about how Smart Data Fabric enables operations for better decision-making in the supply chain.
Thank you, Bob. Look, it's around using that Smart Data Fabric for decision intelligence, a lot of what we just said before. So it's being able to create that decision intelligence to be able to manage those real-time disruptions and being able to come up with real-time ROI-based decisions that are going to assist the line of business to be able to do it very accurately. And also, we talk a lot about the line of business, but it's also being able to optimize and then push those optimized outcomes into an existing application or an existing ERP.
And if I may add to that, is
Sure.
really if you're talking about business decision intelligence, right? What does it take to make a right decision? It takes real-time accurate data, right? It takes the knowledge of understanding the current business process, your current priorities, your current objectives. And some of these things are not constant, right? Your business process or business rules need to be adjusted when a new supply chain disruption happens, right? And in order to make the right decision with assistance with your technology, you need to put all of these aspects under control. That means you need data technology, right? You need a business rules engine potentially. You need a business process engine. You need some other stuff, and these also all need to be able to adjust fast to the changes in your dynamics in your business, right? And that's really the power of the Smart Data Fabric. Each of these have the right technology to handle it in the fabric. They all feed on the same data set. They all communicate with each other. So that's how you can quickly put in a solution together to tackle the new demands from your supply chain to meet the decision intelligence, capabilities you're looking for.
Well, Ming, AI certainly serves as a good standalone solution in many aspects of the supply chain today. I'm wondering how specifically Smart Data Fabric can accelerate AI-driven decision intelligence.
Sure. I mean, I touched upon some of those aspects earlier on in my presentation. AI can certainly, make people work faster, right? Work smarter. For example, you can have a co-pilot to bring the right information to the decision makers at the right time when it's needed, right? And I think the other piece I emphasized a little bit earlier is really this, particularly with Gen AI, is really how can we empower business people, business, right? Technology, IT folks have a lot of power in their hands, but without the input from the business people, not that many business problems get solved. And if we can give more power into the hands of business user, for example, if say, like the Baltimore Bridge disaster happens, right? And if I want to know, what shipments get impacted by that, but not only I want to know what shipment, I want to know if say it was some my parts is tracked there. I want to know what is the and customer is going to be impacted by that. If business user can ask simple questions, say what customers will be impacted due to the Baltimore Bridge accident incidents, right? And generative AI can convert that to a technical statement, to the technology needed to support it, whether it's directly understanding different data schemas, SQL queries, or connecting to other systems to grab the information. So that's kind of power the generative AI can really help, to accelerate the whole decision process, to bring the technology directly into the hand of nine of business people without going through IT. Say, hey, can you help me to run this SQL? If that happens through IT team, you know how what does that process look like?
And I just want to add one piece to that too, is exactly what Ming stated. It also helps at the line of business level, the confidence that that generated option that is, you can give that confidence level to the line of business and ask a question within a co-pilot. And like, how did you come up with option A versus coming up with option C? So if it comes up with 4 different options, but it recommends the best, most optimal option, but it's like, really, you can then use Copilot to then challenge how that option was come up. And hopefully the intent is based on the answers that are constantly going back, it's going to create a confidence level at that point to then be able to either accept that decision or move the decision into an existing application.
Mark, one of your earlier slides did a very good job of portraying the wide universe of solutions and processes that happen within a supply chain. Each of those has its own individual technology very often. It's hard to bring all that together into one piece. And I'm wondering how Smart Data Fabric actually factors in with all of these other existing supply chain technologies.
It's a great question, Bob. We hear that all the time. And as a matter of fact, we were working with our UK end customers this morning, and that came up. And one of the discussions is, while we just spend millions upon millions of dollars with these different applications, but we want to be able to optimize a particular business outcome. Well, the way the data fabric, and for us, the Smart Data Fabric is architected, is that it complements those existing systems. There is no rip and replace of existing systems. And I think that's the beauty. And as Ming mentioned earlier on, where you have the data lakes and the data warehouses, and even your existing, let's say, BI tools that you're using, it sits above that. So it can help complement that and be able to do it in a very, very non-disruptive way and a very accelerated fashion.
Yeah, Mark, and if I may add to that, is really, a lot of times people come to us, hey, I like your smart data fabric. Looks like you're going to solve all my problems. Now, should I just start from scratch, replace, throw away all my existing systems? I usually say, before you do any of those crazy things, think about what is your current needs. You need to understand where a problem is. For example, so some company may have implemented online for their, demand forecasting solution, for example, right? And they're not happy with the results. They say, and they come to us saying, "Hey, is your AI solutions works better than online?" I say, I don't want to compare technology. You got to know why your online is not giving you the result you're looking for. And I believe online have a good solution for that. And in many cases, it turned out to they are not feeding O9 the right data, right information, the real-time data that O9 need to do the right work. So in that scenario, we provide, bridge that gap for them, bring the accurate information from SAPs or other source systems, and feed the harmonized, normalized real-time data into O9 so O9 can do its job. And with that solution, it really helps to improve the performance and get the business outcome they're looking for.
Yet bringing into the organization a solution such as this, it touches on so many different aspects of the supply chain. I'm sure there are some complications involved, some complexities. Ming, what are some of those challenges or obstacles that organizations may face when they are implementing Smart Data Fabric in their supply chain?
I would say one thing is if people treat this as a big IT project only, saying now it's like another data lake or another ERP implementation, I think that's the biggest risk. Of course, you need to have the right technology, you have the right solution in place. But really, I think Smart Data Fabric is business use case centric, right? You try to see what problem you're trying to solve, and really to test it out and verify a solution. I would say start small, start where you need the most help, and then grow from there. Don't make it a big bang implementation. Say I'm going to replace my entire ERP, my whole planning solutions, and so on, to use the Smart Data Fabric. And that's where, you're going to get into trouble, after millions of dollars or years of effort. You may not see many business outcome because you're so focused on technology instead of what was the original problem you're trying to solve.
And if may I add, Ming, to a comment along the lines of digital transformation, I think, one thing, it needs to be viewed, as Ming stated, is look, it's business outcome focused, but it's also from a standpoint of digital transformation, it is part of a larger effort. And where do you stand in your digital transformation? How far along are you? Are you just starting out? Are you getting to the point where you feel comfortable that you really can start using AI and ML capabilities? Can you use generative AI? Obviously, a smart data fabric, the way we have constructed it with the smart data fabric, is that can be part of a transformation as you move along. So, one of the things that we say to our clients so often is, this needs to be part of a digital transformation effort.
Well, that being the case, if it isn't a simple IT project, I'm wondering then if it's based on business outcomes, who within the organization kind of is the individual title-wise who is overseeing this implementation? Is it the line of business, Mark? I mean, just wondering, typically, what do you see there?
It could be the chief supply chain officer. It could be the chief digital officer that's implementing. We're seeing it both ways. We're even hearing a new title, chief data officer, is coming along the line. So it's typically at that level, and it's not necessarily, could be chief technology officer. So it is around that aspect of being business focused, but obviously with an IT impact.
Okay, so no single answer then to that question. It's interesting. Depends on the organization.
That's right, exactly right. No,
right.
It is. That's exactly right.
Yeah. So, Mark, tell me a little bit about the potential cost savings that organizations can expect by implementing Smart Data Fabric with specifically InterSystems technology.
Yeah, thank you. Yes, I think it's key. Again, it goes back to what I said earlier around having one product, right? I think having one product, being able to do everything that we just talked about, is huge, because you're not talking about a 6-month, a 1-year, a 2-year implementation and hoping that you're going to be able to get the business outcomes. You're not ripping and replacing. You're using again, we pioneered the aspects of a smart data fabric in the market across thousands of our customers globally. So it's something that can be implemented and accelerate time to value in a very efficient way, which, as you can imagine, if you're doing something in weeks and short months, is at the cost to the organization and labor and just the project management aspect, and using the systems that you currently have is tremendous in being able to reduce those costs or not incur those additional costs that you could. So it's cost avoidance, but accelerating time to value.
And also related to that, I would say another factor is really if this technology can help bring more value out of your existing investment, like the online example I gave earlier, right? That's a lot of value given to the business. And talking about the cost things, because supply chain have constant disruptions all the time, many unexpected. You need fast way to react to it. And with Smart Data Fabric, we were able to quickly adjust your business rules, your business processes, and get the real-time data from different sources channeled into the right place at the right time. So the whole implementation cycle that your IT solution can meet the business needs is shortened by significant amount. The example Mark gives, in 6 weeks, we were able to bring a solution, an automated solution, using the real-time data, the real data, right? Not just predefined stale set of information, old information, real data, with their actual logic, with their actual business objectives, and deliver the value of how many percentage point of improvement, delivering values in the amount of millions, per month, right? In 6 weeks. So that really highlight the value, what Data Fabric were able to provide to the business compared to many traditional ways of solving, business problems using software.
No, and nicely, Bob, if you don't mind, Ming,
No,
reminding me of
please
something
do.
too that I thought it is, as you scale too, right? As you scale your businesses, and we know there's so many mergers and acquisitions going on now. Businesses, hopefully with the new products and whatnot coming out, the amount of data that is moving through, especially in mergers and acquisitions, is tenfold, 100-fold. The beauty of the way the data fabric is used and architected is an extremely low cost way of implementing technology to be able to meet those business outcomes.
Okay, thank you for that. Ming, again, your slide earlier showed over on the left-hand side there, all these different data sources, all places where data is coming in, which looks great, but I do have to raise the question about, is there an issue of compatibility with all of these different data sources and formats when you're talking about implementing this data fabric from InterSystems?
Yeah, so the data fabric was able to connect to different data sources. It was able to understand the different data schemas in different format, and in many ways, AI can even accelerate that process. So regardless, your data source is in a file, through an API, in a native form, in a streaming format. Data fabric have different component to handle each type of these data sources, and then to take the whole data pipeline through, regardless of where the source data is, can help you normalize and harmonize information into a standard format that can be easily consumed or feed into another decision making services that requires that information. So one of the strengths is really about the diversity of be able to handle different data sources, different data schemas, and different data types. And as I mentioned, AI can play a big role there, help you understand. You never seen these data sources before. You don't know what the schema is about, but AI can look at the information there and it give you a lot of advanced capabilities that you are able to quickly map the data and it help you understand the data and then help you to going through the normalization process. So then the data become, unified and visible to other services requires it.
And if I may add, Bob, if you don't
Sure.
mind, is
Please.
another example which I think is key is one of our clients was saying, look, we already have a demand and supply planning application, but we know we're moving it out. It's not meeting the expectation of what they'd like to see. It was already in their transformation effort or plan to move it out. And they said, but we feel that you could help us with this business outcome. Should we wait till it's done 6 months from now, or should we start now? And then can you then seamlessly integrate into the new planning system and continue to provide those benefits? And the answer is yes. So we often say, don't wait, just because you're switching out applications. I mean, don't forget what we said earlier is that we complement, right? We don't rip and replace. So the technology is built to complement. So if you're moving out, don't wait for 6 months to be able to gain, who knows, X millions of dollars of improvements in revenue and reduce costs. Implement it now with us, with that technology. And when the new technology comes on, it continues on with that new application.
Well, much as I would like to continue to monopolize the time of you two gentlemen, I think we should move into the audience Q&A portion here. We do have some audience questions to ask you folks, and even as we are answering the ones that have already come in, I do encourage audience members to continue to submit your questions by clicking on that Q&A icon at the bottom of your screen, and of course, we'll get to as many of your questions as we can, time permitting. Let me start with this one. The questioner is, again, it's kind of elaborating on some of the things you already said, but I'd love to hear you clarify this, and maybe I'll direct it to Ming. What are the key steps involved in implementing a smart data fabric solution, and how long does it typically take to see results?
Good question. We got that a lot.
Mhm.
So really, I mean, well, the first thing is obvious. I mean, you need to start with a good smart data fabric software or platform, right, to begin with. And then once you get that, I would say, I would start with a business scenario use case first. I mean, the technology is designed to handle all kind of problems, and you don't want to make it an academic exercise. And I will start with the business use case, understanding what the business demand for, what data is involved, and what additional services, whether it's analytics, whether it's business rules required, or some forecasting capability need to build into that solution. And you move from there all around the business statement and business problem you're trying to address. And then you can figure out, out of the data fabric, what capability you need. So you may need data integration layer, you may need a data security layer, you may need to insert some analytics components. And then on top of that, put in your business rules and with your custom logic potentially inside that to drive your business outcome. The timeline wise, it really depends. I mean, simple problems, you could be talking about days to have a solution coming out. As Mark showed that example, that was no trivial example there. And we're talking about 6 weeks, with actual customer data. Again, it really depends on the scope, what type of problem you solve, and how ready you are to take on this. Right. By that, I mean, do you have the IT infrastructure support, right? If you're going to take on this smart data fabric platform, is your IT team ready to take it in your own, on-prem solution, or you can do it in the cloud? How ready are you doing it in the cloud? And you have the whole set of infrastructure and policy to put in place to take on that, right? So there's a lot of other dependencies, but if we're only talking about smart data fabric's implementation itself, or many cases, I don't even call implementation. It may be just a configuration process, right? To kind of stitch together a solution using all these components your smart data fabric platform offers, and then just check how the outcome look like.
Mhm. This questioner wants to know, will all of those disparate data sources go through a single data governance pipeline that kind of defines your data structure? And if so, who would be hosting that transformation? Would it be the client or would it be InterSystems? Ming, do you have an answer to that?
Yeah, I guess we have solutions in both ways. So we do host some solutions for our customers, and in many others, they host our solutions on-prem on themselves. So that can have both. I would say definitely you need a centralized governance solution for sure to manage all your data access and data quality and security aspect, right? So that is definitely a centralized task. And data fabric, architecture give you that capability, and you need to put that into the hands of the right people, right group.
Yeah. This questioner is asking if you could discuss the scalability and the flexibility of Smart Data Fabric. I mean, how does it adapt to changing business needs and growing data volumes? Mark, you want to take that for a start?
Sure. So that's actually a key component of a smart data fabric, is because you're able to pick and choose what you need to be able to take care of it from a technical standpoint, and then at the same time the ability of being able to choose the right technology is the scalability, and interoperability plays a big role in that. And I think interoperability, we hear that so much because of the ability to simulate those business processes and to integrate into those existing systems. And as we know, things change, processes change,
Yeah.
applications change, and the ability of the smart data fabric to be operating on the chosen technology that you need with the interoperability embedded in the product, it allows you to very easily, when processes change, when applications change, that it's just part of the structure in a very efficient way to handle change.
And if I may add maybe a couple of technical points there. I mean, every service in a data fabric can potentially scale independently. And depending on the needs, some can scale better horizontally, some can scale vertically. And and also when we say, this is a data fabric bringing all these different technology and services together, right? And these services, more or less, they can functional independent of the others from scalability, from extensibility perspective. For example, if you have a business rule engine in it, and it will work seamlessly with your data persistence service, with another, the analytics service, and you can change that business rule in that rules engine independent of your persistent layer, independent of your analytics layer, and then that outcome is automatically applied to the information that got fed in from your persistence from your analytics modules, and you see the outcome right there. So the composability and this independent services working together make a big difference from that perspective.
Tech buyers always want to know if the solution that they're acquiring is going to do more than just address the situation in the moment, be able to scale and change with changing needs, which of course is built into supply chains and companies today. So thank you for that answer, both of you. Okay, this is a broader question, and they're simply wondering what are the future trends or advances in smart data fabric that organizations should be aware of? Ming?
We all know technology never stops, progressing, and sometimes you can see big jumps from the capability perspective. I would say really one big trend there is AI, right? The smart part of the smart data fabric. I mean, AI technology today already help a lot, helping us to do a lot of planning things, forecasting things, automating things. And I think the Gen AI is just getting started, right? People are not talking about ChatGPT a year ago. And today,
Yeah.
guess what? We're not just chatting with ChatGPT on the web. It's being applied to business solutions today. Whether it's, automating something, you can have generative AI, for example, to configure the business rules for you, right?
Mhm.
And with the example we mentioned, I can have ChatGPT to convert my question, say, hey, how is it, what customer is going to impacted by this delay of my parts, right? And that could be behind the scene, could be a text to SQL or text to MDX or some other technical problems to solve. But now you don't need that translation. And generative AI already bridging the gap, and I know it's going to go much further than these examples I'm giving you. So certainly keep eye on these technologies. They are not just a nice interface for a robot to communicate with us. It's actually being applied to actual business problem solving, including in supply chain.
Well, only just a few years ago, we weren't talking about data fabric at all.
You're
Mark,
right.
I'm
Right.
assuming you're going to tell us that
Exactly.
this is the concept is here to stay, right? For the future?
Think so.
Yeah.
Absolutely. Yeah, I mean,
Okay.
certainly from a smart data fabric, and who knows what we may pioneer next.
Mhm. Okay. Thanks for that. Thanks for audience for those great questions. I really appreciate it. Some great additional insights from our two guests here. With that, I have to say, unfortunately, that we are just about out of time, but we do have time for one final question, and I'm going to pitch it to Mark. Mark, what would you say are the key takeaways or main benefits that organizations should consider when evaluating the implementation of smart data fabric in their supply chain operations?
Yeah, thank you, Bob. I think, look, I think the key takeaways is really, smart data fabric enables accelerated time to value. We talked about that. It is so key in across really every vertical, every sector around the world. We need to accelerate time to value. And the smart data fabric is well positioned for supply chain optimization and decision intelligence. As you know, we've been through tremendous disruptions in our supply chains, and it is a perfect complement to help us optimize and use that decision intelligence as we spoke about earlier.
And Mark, if I may add to that, technology, there are a lot of hypes in technology. So I think, seeing is believing. Request a demo, see how actually these technology being applied, to solve actual business use case. I think that would be a good way, to proceed. And as a technical person, I will even go one step further. It's not seeing is believing. I say trying is believing. Put your hands on the actual data fabric software. Including InterSystems solution is available online for trial. Check it out. Bring one of your business use case to it. See how that can help you.
Exactly, Ming. And I think I want to leave InterSystems is already ready. Everything we talked about so far is we've been doing it. We've been doing it for many years. We're a pioneer in what we're doing. And I want to leave you with, InterSystems is already ready.
Fantastic. Well, once again, I want to thank Mark Holmes and Ming Shou for that great presentation. Really fascinating coverage of this pretty recent development in smart data fabric. Thank you so much for your insights, and audience, thank you for your participation as well as your excellent questions. I do want to, as Ming said, want to call your attention to the opportunity here to request a demo from InterSystems. Here's a QR code that you can scan in order to access that. Also, you will receive a URL that takes you to that. Also, if you don't have the opportunity to take a screenshot of this right now, don't worry about it. All attendees of this webinar will receive within 24 hours URL or code that takes you to that demo. So once again, gentlemen, thank you very much for your time. Thanks, everybody. And everyone, have a great day.
Thank you.